Hi and welcome along to the Don Robbie channel. This is a brand new show called The Face Off, where we get two fans to face off and defend their team. Now joining me today, ahead of the big game at the weekend, I've got Buvey representing Manchester City, big Man City fan, and I've got Tobi representing Tottenham Hotspur, big Tottenham fan. The big game, of course, is Manchester City versus Tottenham. City flying high, top of the league, 15 games in a row unbeaten, unreal. And Tottenham, well, I can't. Not flying that high, man. I mean, let's start off with you, Buvey, man. The other night, man, in the FA Cup. I mean, great game for the neutral. And I ain't neutral because you know I wanted Everton to win. I'll just say it in. I've got to be real, right? Yeah. But great game for the neutral, watching it. But what was, I was shocked by that.
It's horrific defending. It's horrific defending, Robbie, and I think it's indicative of what we've seen as Spurs fans over the last 18 months, coming up to 2 years, in fact. The defending has just gone through the floor. Our better defenders in recent years have either left the club or are past their best, and the players that have come in are just simply not good enough at all.
But you sort of had the strategy of parking the bus. He didn't park the bus in that game, he had a go. Yeah. And it still didn't work out. So what should he do? That style or park the bus? Which one?
I think he needs to mix both, because against a side like Everton, no disrespect to them, but against sides like Everton, Leeds, etc., you should go for them. We're better than these sides. We have better players and we can put sustained pressure on them more than they can if we're coached to do so properly. So we should be going for it to a certain extent in those games. But in the bigger matches, like City this weekend, like Chelsea, like Liverpool, against sides who are much better than us on the ball, no one's going to complain at him sort of sitting deep. Ultimately, we just want a game plan that actually sees us getting opportunities to score against any opposition, whether we're parking the bus or whether we're actually on the front foot. And that's what we don't see enough from this manager.
Okay. No, look at the big smile on his face. Look at that. You know what I mean? That's how you can tell it's a City fan. Smiles all day long, right? 15 games unbeaten at the start of the league, right? Yeah. I remember at the start of the season, there was a lot of people saying, yeah, City, they ain't going to do nothing this year. Yeah. They had a bit of a shaky start. And then they've just this is madness what's going on.
It's crazy, and it's interesting that we're talking about Spurs City, because I think when you beat us 2-0 at the start of the season, I thought this is going to be a Premier League winning sort of squad from Spurs, because they were so sharp, they were so strong, a clean sheet against City. And last season we were shocking. Obviously we bottled the FA Cup against you lot, obviously. But something clicked, and it was a game against West Brom in December where something clicked. And I think the players were just sick of dropping silly points. We drew 1-1 with West Brom. Bilic got sacked weirdly after that for Allardyce. And then we went on one of the best runs in the history of English football. Mathematically, it is the best winning streak in the history of football in England. Better than the Invincibles. I think there's 14 games for Invincibles, isn't it?
Steady.
So 15 for City without a recognised number 9.
Yeah, he's actually better.
Unbelievable, going away to Liverpool, Chelsea without Aguero, without a striker, without De Bruyne, without a left back.
I mean, Jesus was there. So
but Jesus didn't start against Chelsea or Liverpool.
He was on the bench.
Yeah. But we're talking about to do 15 in a row. Man United didn't do that with Rooney, Tevez, Berbatov, whatever. So
it's impressive.
It's incredible.
It's impressive.
It's incredible, simple as that.
It's impressive. So you're confident you're going to win the league then?
I think we're going to win the league. I think Liverpool still have enough to get 5-10 wins in a row, and if we drop points, obviously we could against Spurs. They are a decent side, but Man United as well. We get them in a couple of weeks. Obviously you lot as well. You can always drop points in those games. I think we've got Leicester as well in a few weeks. But at the end of the day, the maths is against it, innit? Because it's 10, 13 points depending on our game in hand. And we've got the experience to win it. I don't think any other club except Liverpool got the experience to win the Premier League.
It's not, man. They're too good, aren't they? That's the
arrogance.
Well, I think I'd be arrogant if I was them as well. Yeah? I mean, they win all the time. They're winning all the time.
I wouldn't say all the time, but yeah.
Most of the time.
More often than not.
However, playing Tottenham, man, they got a good record against you guys, man.
Yeah, look, if they part the bus,
man, then,
Yeah, it's a big game for them, because if they win, they get closer to the Europa League, which is obviously massive for Spurs to get into the Europa League. It's big for them.
It's going in already.
No, I'm just saying it's a massive game for them to get into European football.
So you think for the Champions League football for them is gone then?
Oh, of course it is. Yeah,
How has it gone?
Leicester, Chelsea, all ahead of you. Man United, Liverpool, and then City. There's just not enough spots. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we know there's not enough spots.
If top 8 was Champions League, you get it for sure.
Yeah, but we know. But we didn't finish 8th last season. We finished 6th, and as bad as we've been in recent weeks, we're a better side than we were last season. Chelsea have had their bad run this season. Liverpool have been through this bad run over the last couple of months. Leicester, they're in the mix.
Yeah, good side.
They are a good side. But what I'm saying is, it's been peaks and troughs for every team. If we can get it right and can actually get, like I said, a more sustainable brand of football game to game, then we're definitely still in the mix for top 4. I don't think it's out of the question completely.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to the game at the weekend, man. We're going to be doing a watch along to it as well. Make sure you check that out. But I'm looking forward to it. But you know what, right? Now is the time when both of you have to defend your club, right? Defend your club. Push your chest out and big up your club, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to drop a series of questions on you. And, you know, you can have a go at City and you can have a go at Tottenham and you can defend. Defend your argument. Yeah. That's what we need to do, right? As us fans do.
Yeah.
Even when we're crap, we'll defend our club, right? You know what I mean? So, but the first question I'm going to ask, right? I'm going to ask it to you, Toby, yeah? And it's about City, actually.
Yeah.
Do you think they've bought all their success?
1,000%. 1,000%. Listen, I ain't knocking it. Like, if you got it, spend it. But of course, they bought everything. Everything that Man City have done well, they owe it to Sheikh Mansour. He brought in the money, he brought in the funds, and then what they did, which I thought was good, is they put a vision on top of that. But it only sort of makes me wonder when I look at our club, who are run expertly well. If we had those funds, if we had the additional resources, if we could spend 150 to 200 million every season, if we could have 2 players in every position, the possibilities would be limitless.
So do you think it's like not rocket science, or they've just literally gone out there, thrown a load of money at it? Who's the best manager? Pep Guardiola, let's get him. Who's the best players? Yeah, get him. Oh, we've got a problem in defence. Let's get Ruben Diaz. You know, X amount of money. You know, and also, if a player don't work, yeah, just discard him and get the next one in.
No, you know what?
Arsenal do that all the time.
But you know what it is though. It's because like loads of teams spend money. Loads of clubs, especially in the league now, have lots of money to spend. But as you can see with Everton, who beat us the other night, it's how you spend your money. And I feel like more often than not, Man City has spent their money correctly.
Yeah, but we're talking different type of money, Dave.
Yeah, but this is the point, and I feel like a lot of City fans. I saw this. I remember Pep Guardiola. He loves doing this thing where he downplays their funds. I remember when they were going for Harry Maguire. We can't afford Harry Maguire. You just paid 60 million for a fullback.
Nah, but
you just no. You just spent 150 million. Like in a COVID infested summer, of course they were the highest spenders. They've been the highest spenders for what, like 4 out of the past 6 seasons.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
whilst I love Pep, whilst I respect everything he's done at City, and I love the brand of football, there's almost an expectation because you're spending all this money, so something's got to give. Everything has been bought, and you need to see a return on your investment.
Yeah, I think the thing is, if you gave Spurs 1.5 billion quid, which is what it's about, or Arsenal, I don't think you have the infrastructure in terms of the management, the people right at the top of the club to make really good, uniform decisions about certain players.
Yeah, but you buy that as well, won't you?
Yeah, exactly.
No, but that's the point. City didn't. There was a couple of years where it was embarrassing. Joe, Robinho, some of these players were just. It was ridiculous. I completely agree with you. But since then, the reason we didn't go for Maguire is because our system said it didn't make sense for us to go for someone who's a slow, pretty average centre-back on his day for 80 million quid. We went out and got Diaz, who's 23, a lot younger. He's the captain of the biggest club in Portugal. He's going to be the captain of Portugal, the national side in a couple of years, no doubt. That is a more sensible sort of investment of time and money than Harry Maguire. So it makes sense.
It is
You've
more
got the money to put it in there. The reason that the Spurs have got money, you put $1 billion into a stadium, that houses no trophies in the stadium at the moment. To be honest, let's be real. Okay. $1 billion, that's a lot of money into a stadium.
How long were you lot in the City of Manchester Stadium before you?
Well, that was a different agreement. That was from
but
the Commonwealth Games.
Just riddle.
City didn't buy that stadium. We didn't build that stadium.
I didn't say you bought it.
But you put $1 billion into the stadium.
No, but it was there for the Commonwealth Games, and you made it your ground.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm asking you, how many years were you in that stadium before you put a trophy in it?
About 9 years.
9 years, okay. So
yeah.
you're getting
that's a good point.
You're getting on to us for building a new stadium, but no trophies in it.
I'm just saying.
You see where I'm going with this. Yeah? Okay. Cool.
I think if you kept your old stadium, which was one of the hardest grounds, you obviously must agree with this, one of the hardest grounds in Europe to go to as an away day, White Hart Lane, and you'd spent even half of 1.5 billion on some good investments, as opposed to like a washed-up Gareth Bale. I think you would be winning more than... Well, you can't even win the FA Cup anymore. Obviously, you're not in the Champions League. Might win the Europa League. Obviously, can't win the Premier League. I think that'd be way better investment of money to be going into a playing squad as opposed to a stadium.
I agree, and I feel
opinion.
like Enoch probably have to hold their hands up for that one. But
you need the stadium is what makes you progress.
Exactly, but that's what I'm going to say. So like the stadium, if not for COVID, you'd be seeing an immediate return on our investment. You saw how much money we generated within the first year of being in that stadium. You saw the caliber of players we were able to go for as a result of building that stadium, the revenue from that stadium, the revenue from the Champions League as well. So long term, it's a foolproof plan to make us money and to get us closer to the big sides in the league.
Do you like when you see a club just has come along and they've just got basically a sugar daddy behind it, right? And they can just buy whatever they want. You know, I'm not saying necessarily you, maybe I am, right? But and then you've got other clubs like what you're saying there that you're trying to do it the right way. You're like, oh, right, we're gonna have to build this stadium.
Well, is Gareth Bale the right way?
We've got to pay it back. Well,
is Wilfred Brony the right way? Is Mangala the right way?
But I'd say over the last 10 years, there's been more signings from City that have made a lot of sense. Young players that all fit into a philosophy.
Really? Jack Rodwell, did that make sense?
Yeah, it did.
Scott Sinclair, that made sense.
It made sense because they were both young English players that fit into a system.
He barely played.
They flopped. A lot of players flop. I'm not saying every signing's perfect.
You just did. You just implied that. You said more.
But what I'm saying is City haven't had a marquee signing in a very long time. They've all been very good players, expensive players. Of course, you're right about that. But they all fit into a larger philosophy at the club where the money's being invested smartly. And I think you look at Arsenal as a great example, and Spurs. Some big marquee signings that have tried to sort of regenerate the club, and it's completely failed. But City have signed Torres, Cancelo, Diaz, Bernardo Silva. They all fit into a philosophy of the club that every level of the club, whether it's the women's side, the under-21s, the under-17s, they all play into a philosophy.
But
it's a good investment.
But what you need to bear in mind is the difference between Spurs and Arsenal is, yes, we've had some of the big money signings that haven't worked out, but maybe Arsenal do because they've spent more money than we do, but Spurs, we don't get the opportunity to just splash 60 million on one player. All these players that you say they fit into your philosophy, yeah, they do, but they all cost around 50 to 70 million.
You signed 60 mil for Ndombele.
That's our highest.
It's not like you're, mate. I'm not being like it's not like you're Norwich City or Bournemouth. You're still a massive club. You're one of the biggest clubs. Yes, one of the biggest cities in the world.
But what we're talking about here is artificial growth versus organic growth. We are organic, you're artificial. You have more. It's the truth. Why are you shaking your head? It's the truth. Listen, listen. I'm not saying it from a place of jealousy because I would do it. I would do it as well. But what I'm saying to you is you can't make that point about we get it more often than not. You've had your fair share of horrendous signings. But what I'm saying is more often than not we don't get the opportunity to rectify it. You do.
Yeah,
you do.
You're completely right.
Okay, I've got another question, right? This one to you, Buvey, right? Do you think Spurs got an inferiority complex?
Yeah, of course they do. And I don't know where it comes. Look, City had an inferiority complex. I'm not sitting here saying we were winning Premier Leagues before the takeover, we were this, we were that. There was a good 20, 30 years from the sort of late 70s, 80s and 90s where obviously we got relegated even. Of course, I understand that. But there are moments in any club cycle where that hoodoo is broken. It was against Man United in the semi-final of the FA Cup. Yaya Toure scored that goal. We won the FA Cup. Spurs haven't had that moment yet, and they're trying to find it. They could have maybe had that against Liverpool in the Champions League, and they bottled it. There's a moment coming up for Spurs. They've got to get over the hurdle. They've got to get over the hurdle.
What's causing this inferiority?
I am obviously, I've not lived 50, 60 years of life to understand Spurs well. I know that, when I talk to, you talk to older fans and they say Spurs were always bottle jobs in the 90s and the 80s. They weren't winning leagues as much. There's always been an inferiority complex. I wasn't around to see it, but it's a 50-year thing, isn't it? It's a very long time Spurs have had a problem.
Bottle jobs?
It's hard to argue it, but I just feel I resent that statement that, they've not had their moment. Because he's talking about when Man City won the FA Cup and stuff. That was the turning point for them. We've had many moments in the last decade
where... But you ain't delivered on them. That's what I'm saying. There is the delivery at the end.
Of course. And that's a stumbling block. And I feel like that is a combination of things. One is the investment that we've spoken about. The investment has not come in the key moments when we were on the brink of doing something serious. I cite the Champions League run to the final in January. We let a declining Dembele leave. We didn't bring anyone in.
Yeah, but you've had other times, like
Yeah,
for instance, like the league when Leicester won it.
Exactly, and
And Leicester didn't have no investment.
I
Big
get that.
investment,
Yeah,
did they?
yeah, but I'm not one of these Spurs fans who will fight the Spursy or bottle job tag. I can acknowledge that we are bottle jobs, but what I'm saying to you is we've had some of these moments where glory is literally within our sights, and it just takes a little.
So
bit
what's
more.
causing it then?
That's what I'm trying to explain. It's a combination of player mentality, investment. Player mentality and investment. Some of these players fundamentally that we've had in our team over the years, they're not winners. So in these high pressure moments, they don't have the mental capacity to hold their nerve and see it through to the finish line. And then you've got to add in the double effect of the lack of investment. I cited the run up to the Champions League. I cited the run up when Harry Redknapp, as far as 2011, 2012, we were third in January. Everyone was thinking that, oh, you know what, Spurs could be outside contenders for the title. Yeah, and we bring in Louis Saha and Ryan Nelson, and we're trying to bolster the squad.
Yeah.
The season, the Leicester season, when we're actually trying to challenge for a title, no one expected us to challenge for a title that season, and the squad was small and it was thin. We were playing the same players week in, week out.
So did Leicester. Where's Morgan at the back? It was the same 11 every season.
Leicester didn't have Europa League, bro. Leicester didn't have Europe.
Yeah, but you could have made a decision to play under 16s for that whole.
What under 16s? Give me these under 16s.
There's always academy players that you could have played.
Bro,
for me, it's one of the biggest mistakes in Spurs' history. There's things that you could have said. Right, Liverpool were a great side to win the Champions League. Fair enough. They didn't. Spurs didn't win it. Leicester City have never won a Premier League, and they came from nowhere. And you were challenger. You didn't even finish second in that season. You came third, didn't you?
Yeah, we did come third.
That is
Arsenal come second.
That's a sham. But you're right. It's a sham.
But stop saying it's a sham, because before a ball was kicked at the start of that season, you wouldn't have even tipped Spurs to finish top 4.
No, but you're there though. You wouldn't have tipped Leicester either.
Yeah, but that's the point I'm making though. All it took was added investment, and we could have done it. There was a freakish nature about that season.
Who did Leicester invest in though in January? They didn't buy anyone in January, did they?
They
had the same 11, and they had the belief in themselves that the Leicester fans had the belief that they were going to go and win the Premier League.
Yes, they had the same 11. They had the belief, but they didn't have the fixture pile-up that we did. That's what I'm trying to say to you, bro. Yeah.
Jamie Vardy from Fleetwood Town.
So what? I'm not again.
Where's Morgan, mate?
Again, I'm not trying to make excuses. I've already accepted this bottle job tag. All I'm saying is there are mitigating circumstances to it. They are.
All right. It's a chance now for you to get back on top, possibly, right? 2 great Premier League strikers. I want to know. A lot of people say in Premier League history, these two, who's the best? Harry Kane or Aguero?
What? Who's better right now, or what?
Who's better, just overall? Who's better?
Harry Kane is much better right now, and I feel like Harry Kane, depending on what he does with his Spurs career, he will end up a better striker than Aguero. But it's easier to say that now. Harry Kane needs to win trophies. Aguero has that moment in history where he's literally etched into Man City and Premier League history that Harry Kane doesn't have. But Harry Kane has the best goals to game ratio in the Premier League, statistically. Harry Kane will score more goals than Aguero in the Premier League. It's just a case of where Harry Kane scores those goals at. So for me, Harry Kane is a much better striker than Aguero.
Why? Why is he a better striker than Aguero?
What, right now?
You just think, not just looking at him as if you judge the two of them, if you look at their all-round game.
Yeah. So I'll break it down for you. So Aguero, I just want to start off with the caveat that Aguero used to be a better striker than Harry Kane. Aguero used to be an unbelievable striker, but when you look at Harry Kane now, you get the complete package. And this is what Spurs fans have been saying this for years. A lot of people will look at Harry Kane's assists now and say, oh no, Harry Kane's only just added assists to his game this season. Harry Kane's been passing like this for years. The only difference is it's a bit more deliberate now in terms of how we set up our team and the fact that he's in a position where he plays more final balls. But Harry Kane, he's better than Aguero in the air. He's got a better left foot than Aguero. He's a better shooter outside the box than Aguero. He's a better playmaker than Aguero. And he scores just as many goals as Aguero, which is why, for me, he is currently much better than Aguero.
Okay.
Well, if we're talking about all time, I think the irony is Harry Kane will be, I have to admit, I think he'll be a better striker in Premier League history. But the caveat to that is he has to leave Spurs, because he's not going to win a single. He might win a League Cup at Spurs. He won't win a Premier League at Spurs or Champions League. He has to go and achieve things. And for me, it's the Alan Shearer effect. Alan Shearer was obviously one of the greats. But the only caveat to Alan Shearer was he only won 1 Premier League, and it wasn't at Newcastle, where he was obviously signed to win the Premier League. He didn't do it. If Harry Kane wants to be ambitious, he wants to be a Ballon d'Or winner, he cannot be at Spurs. It's a stepping stone too early. It's one sort of peg down the totem pole. It's not good enough. He wants to join Man City, he wants to join Real Madrid, he wants to join even a Chelsea would be more ambitious for Harry Kane.
We'd never sell him to Chelsea.
No, of course you would. But if the money came, you never know. But with Daniel Levy, you never know. But
never would.
In their prime, Aguero is better than Harry Kane, no question. Here's the issue. We've seen Aguero in his prime. I'd say the 2012 season is probably his best season I've ever seen him play. And he scored a pivotal goal to win us the Premier League. Everyone knows it, the QPR. He scored goals in finals, the League Cup against Arsenal as an example, to win us cups. Harry Kane could score 100, 200, 300 more goals in the Premier League. Well, not 300, but maybe 100, 200 goals. And they might not contribute to any trophies. We don't know if we've seen Harry Kane score in a final. We've never seen it. It's all speculation. Aguero's scored in finals. He's won. His goals have contributed towards trophies. And Harry Kane's got goals against Bournemouth, Norwich, League Cup.
Stop it.
What, Marine? Did he score against Marine?
He didn't play against him.
Oh,
I don't know why.
fair
I don't know why you're doing this. Harry Kane has scored goals in the Champions League, scored goals in the FA Cup, scored goals in the Premier League.
But it's contributed to nothing. No trophy.
Ultimately, yes.
Yeah.
It's contributed to nothing. No one is talking about their prime. We know in their prime, Aguero is a better striker. But the broad question is, who's better, Harry Kane or Aguero? And I don't think you need to talk about Marine and stuff when you know Harry Kane has scored against you.
If you're saying right now, look, he's unbelievable.
Forget about right
he's
now.
Unbelievable.
Harry Kane has scored against you. Harry Kane has scored against Chelsea. Harry Kane has scored against Juventus. Harry Kane has scored against Barcelona, Dortmund. He scored against the best sides in Europe. So let's put some respect on his name,
Okay,
please.
I've got another one for you. All-time two great managers at both clubs. Who's been the better over their career?
God.
Jose Mourinho or Pep Guardiola?
It's Jose Mourinho for now. Pep Guardiola will overtake him, but it's Jose Mourinho for now. And you know me, you know my views on Jose Mourinho, you know my views on him. I don't want him at our club. But if I'm looking at their legacy, he has arguably the best legacy of any active manager right now.
God, that's a big statement.
How is it a big statement?
Well, I think the big thing is, look, I think the big thing that goes for your argument is to win a Champions League with Porto is unbelievable. And then to win it with Inter Milan. Two sides that arguably, they might not have had the riches maybe, or he got the best out of
Milan weren't broke, put it out.
Well, yeah, but obviously the thing labelled at Pep is that he spent all this money at Bayern Munich, he spent obviously even more at Man City, he hasn't been able to do anything in the Champions League. That's one thing. But at the end of the day, Guardiola's won more trophies than Mourinho in a lesser time span. He's won about 30 career trophies, and he's only been managing since 2008. He's never been sacked from a club. He's universally loved at Man City, Barcelona, and Bayern Munich. Mourinho's been sacked at 3 different clubs, and he's been sacked at Chelsea twice. So that shows you that he's a bit of a toxic character. And then you got to look at his trajectory right now. Spurs are 8th, and City have just won 15 games in a row in all competitions.
Yeah, but we're not talking about his character. We're not talking about his trajectory right now. The question was who has the better legacy at the moment.
Yeah, Guardiola's got more trophies then.
But
same amount of Champions Leagues, more league titles, more domestic cups.
I think they're tied.
I think it's more league titles and more domestic cups than the same amount of
I don't think it's more league titles. I don't think it is. I think they're currently tied on league titles.
There's definitely more trophies. Guardiola's won more trophies.
Listen. With Guardiola, as I said, he will eclipse Jose Mourinho. He will. Yeah, he's a younger manager and he's at the top right now. Jose Mourinho is very much on a downward trajectory. But when you talk legacy, you have to understand football heritage. Yeah. We were talking about this discussion about artificial spending money, but it's how you spend the money and what you do with the money. Jose Mourinho, do you know how good Arsenal? You know how good Arsenal were years back, Invincibles.
Oh, of course.
He came to the Premier League and he put the league in a chokehold. What is it? 92 points in his first season.
Yeah.
And then something like 90 points in his second season, back to back. Relentless.
Yeah.
So he did that.
But not quite 100 points, obviously.
Yeah, not quite 100 points, but he also didn't spend as much as Pep Guardiola.
But he still spent a lot.
But let me just ask you, Buvey, right? Despite the 100 points, he still ain't lifted up the one with the big ears, has he?
Exactly.
For Manchester City. You know what I mean? Last season, Lyon in the semi-final. Been knocked out before by Monaco.
Right.
He's been knocked out,
That's embarrassing. I can't say anything about it.
Exactly.
But would you lads say...
a bit of a stain on his time at City, isn't it?
Right. Would you lads say, universally speaking, Alex Ferguson is top 3 managers of all time? Would you say roughly?
Yeah.
How many trophies how many Champions League titles did he win in 25, 30 years as a manager?
2.
How many has Guardiola won in 12 years?
He's won 2.
So that's what I'm saying. It's hard to get. Give me someone who's won 3 Champions League trophies. It's only Ancelotti, isn't it?
But again, it's not
tough
about
to win 3.
Again. If you were being for me, if you were being dumped like Robbie, if you were being dumped out by literally the best of teams in that competition, I'd understand it. Fergie, he made 2 Champions League finals in his last 5-6 years. He made 2 Champions League finals, and he lost both times to the best team on the planet in
Yeah.
Barcelona. Pep Guardiola has not even made a semi-final for Man City yet.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
He's not, and he's been knocked out by us. He's been knocked out by Liverpool. He's been knocked out by.
Well, Liverpool were good. They got to the final, so that was a good.
Yeah.
They were a good side. But you're right about.
But so did we,
Monaco
though. So did we. He called us the Harry Kane team, and we dumped you out with no Harry Kane.
Yeah.
So the point I'm making is there's a black mark on Pep Guardiola right now at Man City. Until he does it, it's going to linger over his head, and that's why Jose's legacy right now is greater than Pep Guardiola's, because he won the Champions League with Porto.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it enough. He won the Champions League with Porto. Inter Milan, when was the last time they won the Champions League before he went there?
Yeah, it was decades.
And he goes there, and within his second season, he wins.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The caveat is you're completely right.
So there you go then.
But then you're talking about trajectory. Is like, well, okay, who is gonna win the Champions League? Out of Mourinho and Guardiola, you had to put your house on it. Mourinho's going to be in the Europa League. You can't even compete for the Champions League.
But we're not talking about trajectory. We're talking about right now. Bro. We're talking about right now. We're talking about right now. We're talking about right now.
Yeah, right now.
If
Mourinho's 8th. Even if we don't win the Premier League this season, we come 2nd, which would be crazy. Yeah, but we're going to be in the Champions League next season. You won't even be in the Champions League next season.
Whatever, but are you going to win it this season?
You better win it. Good chance.
Yeah, you better win it this season. Now we'll revisit this conversation. You better win it this season. It's not we've got
pressure's on, Buvey. You better win it, man.
You better win it, bro.
I think there's a good chance. There's a better chance of Mourinho winning it for sure, because he's not even in the competition.
But he's won it twice with two different teams.
All right, lads. The two clubs. And I'll start with you, Toby. Be real now, right? Which are the bigger clubs?
Man City.
Who's bigger? Who's a bigger club? I mean, when I'm talking about bigger club, I'm not just on about what you've won. I'm on about fan base. I'm on about. I'm taking everything into account now. Who's bigger? Because you sometimes, there's always the funny stories about City not selling out on a Champions League night and things like that.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that Tottenham have had some rough times over the years, they're still. And I say, you know who I support, but they got a big support, man. They go away, fill out their end all the time.
I think we're very similar clubs, because I think even at Main Road, White Hart Lane, a really passionate, kind of more of a close-knit, smaller fan base, and they look across the road to Arsenal that are doing much better things, and we were looking across the road at Man United doing much bigger things. So similarly on that one, but the fact that they're in London, obviously one of the biggest cities in the world, means I think their fan base is probably a little bit more larger.
No,
I think that's fair to say.
Just larger, a bit more real.
I don't know if it's
a bit more real.
A bit more real. I've definitely met. Obviously, I've been in the Man City space for years.
What do you mean by a bit more real?
As in, our fans are there because they're there, innit? Like, they know Tottenham, they love Tottenham. It's not just because they've seen Tottenham win a Premier League title all of a sudden.
Well, they haven't. That's the point. There are no fans to come in to watch you do anything. So you haven't won anything in the last 15 years.
That's the point.
When you do win let's just say you win the Premier League this season, let's just say you did, or the Champions League, you suddenly would get a load of tourist fans coming in. That's just the Man United Liverpool
But the thing is that what I'm saying, we get tourist fans anyway because of the new stadium, because of our links with South Korea, etc. But what I'm saying to you is our fan base is a bit more organic than yours. I feel like that is fair to say.
Yeah, that is fair to say. Because look,
and it's not to say that you didn't have fans, because I know a Man City fan. He's very vocal about the fact that you lot had like 25 to 30,000 in Main Road or something like that when you were in the lower tiers of football. I'm not disputing that, but what I'm saying is when it comes to a real fan base, core fan base, I feel like we have the greater area.
Yeah, and I tie that to the fact that obviously London's a much bigger city. The part of Manchester where obviously City are based is
Manchester ain't a small city, innit?
No,
it's not.
It's not London. It's not London.
Yeah, it ain't a town though.
And you already got Man United.
Yeah, but Man United
attracting all these fans when they're growing up.
You say it's not London, but like how many teams are there in London though?
No, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
There you go then.
Yeah, for sure.
So I actually agree in terms of the stature. I feel like traditionally, of course, we're one of the biggest or the biggest sides in England. But when you look in recent years, it's chalk and cheese in terms of achievements. So right now, in terms of how they're operating, Man City operate like a big club. We don't. Okay. Simple.
So,
well, guys, it all boils down to the game at the weekend. So let's just get your predictions on that. Right? It's the big one. It's Manchester City taking on Tottenham. I think a couple of weeks ago, you'd be looking at this game and thinking, well, I don't know, man. Well, actually, maybe let's go back a bit more than a couple of weeks ago. Because there's one time when Tottenham were contending, but it's still always very tasty when they play you guys.
Yeah,
because
100%.
they give you a good game all the time, right? And it's always close. So Let's start with you, Buvey. What do you think the score's going to be?
I think if it was 3-0, it'd be a great result for Spurs to just keep it 3-0 to City. That'd be a massive. No, they need the goal difference to get
3-0?
top 6. They need the goal difference. I think West Ham have got a pretty poor goal
You
difference.
think a
and stuff
3-0?
like that.
Harry Kane,
Yeah,
Son.
I'm thinking of West Ham, Everton, Leicester. They've got a pretty low goal difference. They've got a pretty high goal. So I'm just thinking 3-0. But I think 4-0 in reality for Man City.
You seriously going for 4-0?
Why not? We just beat the best team, arguably one of the best champions in English football history, 4-1 at Anfield. Haven't won there in 18 years without a striker.
Wow. 4-1. 4-0.
They're not going to beat us 4-0. They could, but they're not.
But you've got a good record against them in recent times.
So they're not
Champions League, league games, you know what I mean?
Yeah. All these same players that Buvey thinks, oh yeah, we're gonna turn up there, so 3-4, whatever. Like, don't get it twisted. We could definitely get battered. We played 120 minutes the other night against Everton, so we could be in for a pasting. But like you said, we've beaten them already this season, 2-0, clean sheet. We beat them last season, albeit it was undeserved at our ground, 2-0, and we drew the last time we played at the Etihad. In fact, the last time we played at the Etihad, we scored 5 goals, isn't it? 5 goals the last time we played Champions League, yeah, whatever. 5-6 goals. But he knows what I mean. He knows the night I'm talking about when we dumped them out of the Champions League. But it's cool. I'm not here to wax lyrical about Spurs. I have no doubts that we're going into this game as the underdogs. But I feel like a 4-0 pasting, I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that.
So what's your prediction?
I think we'll lose the game. 2-1, 2-0 maybe.
2-1.
I don't know.
2-1. All right. So what's your predictions? Leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the Don Robbie channel. Don't forget to check out Buvey, and you can check out Tobi as well. But listen, it's been a good face-off, guys. Well done for defending your clubs. And we're going to be back next week. We've got a Merseyside derby next week. That's going to be interesting. Right, so make sure you check it out.